Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I am the Posh Guy Who Likes Wrestling. Welcome to my FastLane 2015 review. Yes, FastLane came and went, and for a lot of people, including me, I think it was what everyone was worried it was going to be. Rather than a pay-per-view in its own right, it was sort of basically a filler show. The very epitome of a B show, in fact. Just keeping all of the plates spinning, delaying every feud worth a damn for another month until everything really matters. Basically, Dean Ambrose and Bad News Barrett, that's probably continuing. Paige and Nikki, that's probably continuing. John Cena and Rusev, we know, is continuing. It set the foundation blocks for a Bray Wyatt Undertaker feud, set the foundation for Sting versus Triple H. Basically, it was doing everything to set everything in place for WrestleMania, which is fine, but it just robs the pay-per-view of its own identity. It really does relegate it to a one-match show, Bryan versus Reigns. That was the only one that actually felt like it perhaps meant anything. Everything else was just saving time. But let's go through it and see what good could be salvaged from a night where everyone was just basically saying, yeah, this was fine, but won't it be better in a month? And we started with Ziggler, Rowan and Ryback versus Seth Rollins, Big Show and Kane. Now this was the textbook example of fine. It was good, you know, it's hard to go wrong when you've got wrestlers like Ziggler, Ryback and Rollins in the ring. It all built to a lovely crescendo. There are a couple of near misses. There weren't that many high spots, nothing that we haven't, seen before really. I mean, Rollins doing an amazing leaping neck breaker or jumping onto Ryback and getting caught in a suplex position, turning that into a shell shock, for example. That's nice. We haven't seen those things before, but everything else felt very of the ordinary. It didn't really feel like something that belonged on a pay-per-view, maybe something to headline Raw. What does make the match significant, though, is it featured, as I predicted, the return of Randy Orton. Yes, Seth Rollins, Big Show and Kane beat Ziggler, Ryback and Rowan, and then after the match, as they were beating them down, out came Randy Orton. Now, this was fine. He got a good pop when he returned, but in my case, I think they mishandled it. So yeah, the crowd were chanting for Randy Orton, which robbed the return of some of its power, because obviously the crowd were already expecting it, but also it happened after the match. Now, first of all, Seth Rollins, Big Show and Kane didn't need this win, because Seth Rollins is the Money in the Bank guy. He will always have that briefcase. It's basically his golden parachute. He will never lose momentum. And also Big Show and Kane, they're on their way out. They should be giving victories to the other guys, especially on pay-per-view. Whereas Ziggler, Ryback and Rowan, these guys, they've been sort of floundering in this authority feud. It's not had a lot of direction over the last few months. So these guys could do with a good pay-per-view victory. They should have had a big kind of brawl. Everyone rushes in, Rowan takes out Big Show, Ryback takes out Kane on the outside, maybe someone goes through the barricade or something like that. Basically, everyone's out on the outside. Ziggler accidentally Irish whips Seth Rollins into the referee. The referee's down. Seth Rollins looks around, gets a sneaky look on his face, goes to get his Money in the Bank briefcase. Sets Ziggler up. He's ready. He's about to clobber him with it. Then, out of nowhere, we suddenly hear the crowd scream. Why the crowd screaming? Because through the crowd has come Randy Orton. Randy Orton turns Seth Rollins around, RKO's him, stands over, looks at the crowd, then vanishes. Ziggler crawls over, places a hand on Seth Rollins. 1, 2, 3. Ziggler and Ryback and Rowan are not forgotten in the return of Randy Orton, which they were on Sunday. Basically, no one cared that Ziggler and co had been in the match to start with, because it was all about Randy Orton. So they would have got a little something. Seth Rollins would have been personally victimized. Randy Orton would have not only RKO'd him, but cost him a victory, which is just something to keep the feud bubbling at a slightly higher temperature. And also, it would have been a surprise. I mean, everyone thought Randy Orton would turn up, but no one knew when. After the match, it was obvious. But during the match, less so. Anyway, that's how I would have done it. Goldust versus Stardust. Now, this is where we lost the crowd, I think. Now, the crowd, a lot of people have talked on Twitter about the crowd being dead all night, and that's not fair, I think, because I think the crowd was savvy, and they knew that they were getting a lot of, less than important matchups. So they reacted accordingly. And that's exactly what you felt like you got with Gold and Stardust. For the starters, this match should never have happened. This should be something that should be saved till WrestleMania. There is no benefit of seeing these guys wrestle now, because the turn, the heel turn for Cody Rhodes, he already was a heel, never mind, that just happened. So it's not really a huge build-up. Yes, the turn has been built up, but after that you need to then build up the animosity to make a good match out of it. I feel they jumped the gun. Anyway, what could have happened is they could have barely had a match, and the majority of it is just Cody beating on his brother, and eventually the match has to be called off. That would have salvaged something, but instead that's not what happened. Instead we got quite a plodding match. Don't get me wrong, the story is fine. Goldust sells the mournful older brother well. Dusty Rhodes helps set it up as a kind of an important match. Stardust looked aggressive. That, at the beginning the crowd were chanting Cody, Cody, which is exactly what they needed to do, trying to get into the head of Cody Rhodes. But it just, all the energy wore out just because it wasn't quite enough. There just wasn't that bubbling animosity to kind of make sure everyone knew exactly what was going on in the story. The story felt rushed. The crowd didn't feel into it. There's no empathy. Also, it didn't help that the finish was botched. Fuck that referee, am I right? Basically, what happened was, if you didn't see it, Goldust rolled over Cody Rhodes. The referee hit the 1 and the 2, and then he went, and then he said, ring the bell. His hand didn't come down for the 3. We didn't hear the 3rd count, so everyone was just like, what? It just killed all the energy of that match. Which is a shame. But then, an amazing promo happened. Like the promo that should have happened instead of having a match. Basically, Cody went nuts, smacked Goldust around, gave probably the second best promo of his life. The one where he got fired after losing to Randy Orton. That was his best promo. But this is the second best promo he's ever given. Giving it to Dusty Rhodes, saying that I'm not living in your shadow, you're living in mine, kicking his brother in the face and storming off. That was great. I just wish that we hadn't just blown our load with the match, basically. Because what are we going to see them do next? Basically, they'll have to add a stipulation onto it in order to make it feel worthwhile. The Usos versus Tyson Kidd and Cesaro. This was good. This was a good match. New champions. We have new champions in Tyson Kidd and Cesaro, as I predicted. I said being very cocky, despite the fact that the first 2 of my predictions did not pan out. So there are a couple of nice spots in this match. One of the Usos, I'll never be able to immediately know which one, hits a vicious Samoan drop to Tyson Kidd, crunching him into the barricade, which looked like it might have dislocated the poor guy's shoulder. Cesaro's amazing superplex with no leverage into an elbow drop from Tyson Kidd. It's all great. Basically, I thought the match could have gone longer. I was hoping for a couple more really close 2 counts. You could have done a couple like the giant swing into the dropkick, a few more tag team finishing moves just to really eke out as much tension as they can out of the crowd, because I think the crowd were ready to go with them on it. They were warming back up from Goldust and Stardust, and they were just on the precipice of turning into a This Is Awesome sort of affair, but it ended a bit too quickly. Still, solid victory for Cesaro and Tyson Kidd. I'm looking forward to seeing what sort of tag team smorgasbord they plan for WrestleMania, because WrestleMania like to throw everybody they can onto the card. So why not throw every tag team you can? You got primetime players, you got Ascension, you got Usos, and you've got Tyson Kidd and Cesaro. 4 corners elimination match. That'll put bums in seats. I'd be interested in seeing that, because who knows where it could go. Returning primetime players. The Ascension are trying to build up. Tyson Kidd and Cesaro retain to make them look legitimate. Usos give the babyface a big win on the grand stage. There's all sorts of things they could do with that match, so let's hope that's where they're going. Yes, Triple H versus Sting, the confrontation. Out comes Triple H looking more like a dad than he literally ever has. I forgot that he wore leather jackets. It just looks funny to me now. Out comes Sting, dressed as a kinky ringmaster. And it went down pretty much like you could predict it. I mean, it didn't go down as I predicted it, damn it. But Triple H monologued at Sting for a while. We got Sledgehammer versus Baseball Bat, that iconic image, of course. Triple H talked about preserving Sting's legacy, through DVDs and action figures and the network. I will make Sting become a huge brand. Hey, I'll probably even put you in the Hall of Fame. Just work with me and we can do business. Then Sting said nothing, so Triple H clonked him with the microphone, and then a little brawl happened. Triple H got the upper hand, went for the sledgehammer, out came the bat. Sting popped it right under his chin, and of course pointed to the WrestleMania sign. So the match seems to be official, which is fine. Everyone pretty much knew this was happening from the get-go. And yeah, it was okay. It was okay. It wasn't bad by any stretch. It's interesting to see two icons have a brawl, but I think fans were expecting a little more because of all the theatrics that had been previously given on Raw. You know, the blackouts, the people appearing out of nowhere. You sort of expected a little something more than a baseball bat, but I guess that's fine. Also, Triple H has been booked to crap in this feud. I mean, that's why I presumed that Sting would be left lying at the end of this match, just because it gives Triple H something. He's going to have to do something to get at Sting. Because, first of all, what does Sting want? I understand that he wants to bring down the Authority, but why? Triple H tried to sort of set that up with I Killed WCW, but it's not clear. We need to hear from Sting. And also, Triple H just needs to get a lick in. Because otherwise, I mean, do we expect Sting to really lose this match? Probably not, so Triple H needs something to look strong. Nikki versus Paige, and the crowd were dead again, but you know what, it shouldn't have been, because this match was fine. I don't know, maybe I'm being cynical, but for me it feels like they're really going to have to do something to get people into a Divas match now. Like the last big one that people popped for on a pay-per-view, what was that? Steph versus Brie? And that was only because it involved the Authority figure, probably. I think once they bring up Charlotte, Sasha Banks, Bailey from NXT, then hell, there'll be a resurgence, and you know you can't keep that sort of athleticism down. But for now, people don't seem to care. Maybe it was this crowd, maybe it was this show, and maybe it was just happened to be this match. But it seems to be a trend that people don't give the Divas the fucking respect they deserve, especially not the WWE creative. Anyway, yes, it was a well-worked match. Paige desperately trying to get in the PTO as Nikki dragged herself across the mat. That was an enduring image. There was a nice, big, horrible kick to the face from Paige. It looked great. If there's anything that annoyed me in the match, it's the fact that Brie shouted, "Come on, Nikki!" constantly throughout the match. Bellas, shh, shh. And eventually, out of nowhere, Nikki got the roll-up with the tights for the win. The victory didn't really come out of anywhere. I mean, Brie's right there. She's right there. Use her. You know, if you're a heel, cheat to win. What's wrong with that? I mean, you did with the tights, but it came out of nowhere. It left the crowd being like, oh, now that match is over. So, yeah, finish wasn't very good. The match was fine, but we lost the crowd again. Dean Ambrose versus BMB. Yeah, everyone pretty much called this one. So, yeah, this is a rivalry worth following. And, of course, since it's a rivalry worth following, we're going to save it till WrestleMania and have a nothingy match. I mean, it was fine. I mean, these guys are both good brawlers, and they both have a good, powerful energy behind elbows, knees, strikes, punches, clotheslines. So, it's fine. It had a high energy. Especially at the start, no one kicks off a match like Dean Ambrose. The guy fucking leaps at people like a pit bull. He also has these little unpredictable touches which makes him great. Like Bad News Barrett tries to throw him into the ring. He does this little pirouette thing around the bottom rope, turns around and clotheslines him. It's great. Little things like that. Little quirky kind of physical traits. You just never know exactly what he's going to do, and that works perfectly for his character. Anyway, on to the finish. Fuck, probably the worst finish of the night, just for how cynical it was and how transparent. Bad News Barrett tried to walk away. Dean Ambrose brought him into the ring, started stomping on him in the corner, and the referee sort of went 1, 2, 4, come on, and then disqualified him. There wasn't a very clear 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 count. It wasn't audible, just a bit of talking, and then he called the match off. Same referee, by the way, as Goldust and Stardust. I wish you all the best with your future endeavours, buddy. But good thing is that Ambrose stole the belt, which is nice. That's a little bit of character something. That's something that makes at least the enduring image after the match memorable. Out came the Druids. I smell a fake out. And I was right. It's Bray Wyatt in the coffin. Yeah, Druids wheel a big black coffin down to ringside. Open the lid, out pops Bray Wyatt doing this. And it's great. He delivers one of his standard good promos, confirming that, yes, as everyone thought, it was Undertaker who he was talking about the whole time. Calls him out, makes the kind of offer of the match official, which is great, which means Undertaker's returning soon, and, you know, lots of stuff to look forward to. A mere taster, but a really good bit of kind of theatrics and storytelling. I liked it. A nice little break. It's good to have Bray Wyatt give a promo, because he's fucking amazing. And yeah, it was just a nice little segment. Can't remember any particular lines that held out particularly strongly, other than Bray Wyatt wants to be the new face of fear. That appears to be his big overriding motivation, which makes sense for his character and makes sense for The Undertaker because The Undertaker's, leaving soon. So yeah, this feud's probably going to work really well. Cena versus Rusev. Hey, hello crowd. Nice to meet you. Yes, we finally got the crowd back, which just goes to show, Cena is really important to the company. Like, not everyone likes him, but he draws a huge fucking reaction out of a crowd, which is exactly what was needed for this pay-per-view at this moment. So, Cena and Rusev have a match. Basically, cut a long story short, because it was a fine work match, but there weren't that many big spots. The only few things of kind of relevance is that Rusev has earned his place into the elite group of wrestlers who have kicked out of an AA. Other than that, Lana distracted the referee, low blow to Cena, locked in the accolades, Cena passed out. He wins by submission. I don't think this was the right way to go, mostly because having that end to the match, Cena passing out and refusing to submit, it basically makes the next match at WrestleMania really, really obvious that Cena's going to win, because this is the only way that Cena could have lost. At WrestleMania, Cena would never tap out. It's very unlikely that Cena would be pinned. It's even more unlikely that he would tap. I mean, he hasn't tapped in fucking years. So, unless we're going to see the same finish, which we're probably not, we can pretty much be guaranteed that Cena's taking it at WrestleMania, which is a shame, because I thought that it would give Rusev the biggest rub in the world if he could beat Cena at WrestleMania and maintain his streak, but it looks like that's not going to happen. Unless Cena and Rusev has a stipulation added to it, like, for example, last man standing, or cage match, or something, maybe a ladder match. Probably not, but who knows. Because that means that we can see a different kind of match and get a different kind of finish, which could preserve the unpredictability of the bout. Maybe a Bulgarian street fight. How about that? Or a Russian street fight makes more sense. It was fine. It was fine, and the crowd finally got back into the pay-per-view. But yeah, the ramifications of that finish mean that the next match might not be quite as good. Depends on what they do now. Finally, Bryan versus Reigns, the match we all came to see, and the one that the entire pay-per-view was built around, and indeed the best match of the night, as we hoped it should be. Yeah, this was amazing, really. It's a really top-notch match, and kind of will hopefully save FastLane from being sort of ignored wholesale as a pay-per-view. It started really well with Bryan playing sort of the scampering around, kind of on his knees, just little yappy dog biting at Roman Reigns' heels, trying to get him submission moves. Roman Reigns powering out. A really good mixed match of styles. We got a huge clothesline turning Bryan inside out. We got Reigns debuting a new move, which is 3 pump handle fallaway slams in a row, chained together without breaking. That looked great. That'd be a lovely little signature move for him. We got a lot of aggression from Daniel Bryan, which is good. The one presiding thought I had over Daniel Bryan for this match is he's not an underdog anymore, which is great, because he's fucking dangerous with his kicks, and when he really, really wants something, when he's not smiling, when he's not doing that sort of goofy, I'm just happy to be here smile, he can be amazing. And he really took Roman Reigns to the limit. Like, he carried the match, as everyone knew he would. Bryan is the ring general here. But Roman Reigns kept up. Bryan hit 2 suicide dives. On the third, Roman Reigns caught him and did a belly-to-belly throw suplex. It was wonderful. Then Reigns goes into the steel steps, and you really felt like the crowd were getting pumped. You really felt like they were into it. And the WWE had done a masterful job of actually making it feel a little unpredictable. And to be honest, this is exactly what Roman Reigns need, because in the build-up to this feud, they gave Bryan the respect he deserved. The respect that all the fans thought they didn't give him in the Royal Rumble. Throwing Bryan out of the Royal Rumble early. The presiding thought from that match was that Bryan don't be getting no fucking respect. Which the feud and this match, giving him those, absolutely gave Bryan respect. Gives him a huge rub, makes everyone know that Bryan is main event material. Roman Reigns looked amazing, and there were basically no boos from Roman Reigns' victory. It was a hard-fought match. He kicked out of the running knee, which is a hell of a thing to happen. That was the move that felled Cena. So if he kicks out of that, and that's the first time that's happened, that's huge news. Anyway, Bryan went for a second running knee. Reigns caught him with the spear, 1, 2, 3, and there was ovation. Bryan gave him the handshake, told him you better kick his ass, thereby officially passing the torch. That's it. Bryan is out of the main event of WrestleMania. No way back from that. So everyone just get on board with Roman Reigns. He's earned it now. It feels like he's gone through the wars. Bryan has given us and Reigns his blessing. So, you know, we can respect that and just let the WWE go on with crowning Reigns their new top guy. Hell, there'll always be matches after WrestleMania, and I'm sure we'll see Bryan in the main event very, very soon. So, yes, it was a one-match pay-per-view, really. Unfortunately, a lot of these feuds were rushed. A lot of these feuds were sort of half-baked. Everything feels like it's still cooking, apart from the main event. So, a bit disappointing. Bit flat, bit uninteresting, as kind of recognised by the crowd, but there are a couple of high moments to be remembered, and that's how this pay-per-view will be remembered. My predictions. Basically, I got just under half right, technically speaking. I mean, in terms of the story stuff, I feel like I got about half of it right, but in the actual technical who won what matches, yeah, I probably got like under halfway. So, fuck. So yeah, the first person to put in the comments an actual feasible forfeit for me getting more than 50% wrong, not like killing a guy or go fucking myself, something like that. Yeah, I will do that. I have earned a punishment. Fuck. So that was my review of WWE FastLane, and I'll be back at the weekend with my weekly WWE review, seeing how the fallout from FastLane has been managed and furthering the road to WrestleMania. I've been the posh guy who likes wrestling. Cheerio.